In typical Shimano style, and following on from last year's release of the 12-speed XTR M9100 group set, we have seen Shimano's 12-speed mountain bike technology finally trickle down to an SLX and XT level. Today, myself and my beautiful camera operator Joe behind the lens have spent the day riding the new SLX version of the group set. And we're ready to give you our top 5 highlights from the group set, as well as our first impressions of how it actually rides. Now, before we take a deep dive into the new group set itself, there's a couple things we need to cover. Now, number one, we're in this kind of weird surrounding because we went to film this outside, but it started raining, the strimmer showed up, so it would have made for pretty rubbish viewing. Another thing I want to point out is I'm not going to go over absolutely everything in detail. This isn't the right place for that, and if you want the full nitty-gritty of everything you want to know about the group set, head to BikeRadar.com. There's a link in the description to the full overview of the new group set and everything else that's new from Shimano today. And lastly, as of filming this video, we have no pricing information for the group set yet. That may change come publish date, in which case we'll put it in the description. Otherwise, you'll be able to find that information when it becomes available on BikeRadar.com. For those of you who aren't totally au fait with the whole Shimano mountain bike group set lineup, SLX is its third tier group set. So we've got XTR at the top, XT below that, SLX below that again, and then Dior and everything below that. So with the housekeeping out of the way, here's our top 5 highlights from Shimano's new 12-speed SLX group set. Number 1, and it's the big obvious one, it's 12-speed. Now the fact it's 12-speed in itself isn't that remarkable. We've seen 12-speed group sets from SRAM for some years now, and we've seen it trickle all the way down to the very lowest level now in SRAM setup. What's interesting about Shimano's approach to 12-speed gearing is that it uses its all-new microspline free hub body. On SRAM, with its lower end 12-speed group sets, it's still using Shimano's old HG style free hub body. Now, before you poop your pants, I know it's annoying when new standards come around, but as far as standards go, the HG free hub was around for a long old time, so you can kind of forgive Shimano to a point for wanting to introduce the new one. And the reason they've introduced the new one is it allows them to use a 10-tooth cog. The previous free hub had a smallest cog size of 11 tooth, and that 10 tooth just really opens up the range and allows you to get that slightly faster top end gear. What's interesting is they've taken this down to an SLX level. Again, SRAM haven't on their cheaper group sets, but Shimano have. Now this to me suggests that in the long run, and we don't know anything now, but I would imagine in the near future, we're probably going to see Dior and possibly even below eventually adopt these free hubs. That's interesting because to me at least, it suggests there's probably going to be a groundswell where we're seeing 12 speeds become more and more dominant across all levels of Shimano's lineup, and that's really notable. Whether or not we'll see it move to the road, and it's widely rumoured they are going to go 12 speed on the road at some point, remains to be seen. Number 2 on this list is the fact that the group set is compatible with all of Shimano's other 12-speed mountain bike components. In the past, we've seen, and it is in pretty specific cases, but we have seen higher end components typically maybe not quite as compatible as they could be with the lower end ones. This is particularly notable because it means if you are, a keen fettler, there'll be really, really wide open options for you to swap components if you want to improve things in certain areas. Now, one example, and this is one I think quite a lot of people may do, is the shifters. The new SLX shifters feel fantastic, but we'll cover that more in a moment. But there's a few things that they don't do compared to XT. Of particular note with that is it doesn't have the multi-release downshifts. So you can only shift down one cog at a time, and by down I mean going to smaller cogs in the cassette with the SLX shifter. The XT one also has slightly improved ergonomics with nice little rubber grippers on the thumb paddles, and overall in the hand it just feels that little bit more crisp. So I imagine as an aftermarket upgrade, or perhaps OEMs that are picking and choosing things, we're going to see those XT shifters used. Now shifters is just one example, but it also boils down to things like the cassettes, the chains, and the chain rings. Likewise, if you want to have one bike and you want to run XTR on it all the time, but you don't want to wear out those more expensive cassettes, you could very well chuck on your SLX cheaper cassette. And that's a great thing, and it's really good to see Shimano totally adopt that with its whole lineup. every component in this lineup will work with XT or XTR, and that's a big thumbs up from us. Number 3 is the weight. Now, weight matters to some people, it matters not so much to others, but weight is something that you can measure a group set by, or any other bike component. But coming up with an actual full weight for a group set is actually quite a challenging thing. There's so many variables involved, and more importantly, we actually haven't had a chance to take everything off and weigh each individual component. And although Shimano has supplied us with individual weights of each component, and you can find those on BikeRadar.com, I prefer giving actual weights. Claimed weights are normally okay, these seem pretty accurate, but take it with a pinch of salt. But I can tell you that Shimano claims, compared to an equivalent XT group set, an SLX one will only cost you 148 grams. 148 grams is not a lot. There's a lot of other places on a bike that you could save some weight, and if you are wanting to make up a lighter weight machine on a budget, SLX is a more attractive option than ever. Number 4, and this is a bit more of a vague one, but I hope you'll get what I mean. In years gone by, SRAM's dominance of the one-by market has been undeniable. Absolutely undeniable from the very top end to the low end, but particularly in that mid to lower end, its Eagle group sets have dominated. With this new group set, and SLX is going to be more than anything an OEM group set, we're seeing a range which is beginning to get to that SRAM worrying kind of level. The highlight has to be the 10 to 51 cassette, which is also accompanied by a 10 to 45 cassette. So you're getting massive ranges on these cassettes, which you haven't seen from the mid-level from Shimano in previous years. You have also got a very wide range of chainring options, all the way from 28 all the way up to the 36 I mentioned before. And in a move that will baffle and delight in equal measure, the group set is available as a double option. In 2019, it's very easy to poke fun at the double crowd, but they exist. And it's good that Shimano has taken those people on board, and of course, there are applications where it makes sense. So hats off to Shimano for thinking about those guys. And for number 5, we're not talking about performance, we're talking about looks. The new SLX group set, I would say, is the best looking SLX group set yet. It has a seriously premium looking finish. This bike, the Orbea Rallon, is not a cheap bike, but the group set does not look out of place on it. It actually really looks the part with that really nice single color, kind of glossy, sparkly, but also quite subtle finish. It really, really looks good, and it feels good. The shifters, the brakes, the whole thing feels like a way more solid package than the SLX group sets of years gone by. Even the cassette itself, the construction of the cassette is really nice, and that intricate machining is quite impressive. So while it's not cool to admit that looks matter, they do. And I really think this group set, a mid-tier group set, looks really good. So with the highlights out of the way, let's go over how the group set actually performs. Shimano has flown us out to a beautiful location near Girona, where we've enjoyed a day of riding on all sorts of terrain. From very easy, horrible, grinding fire road climbs, legs are in absolute tatters, to terrifying descents that both Joe and I were massively out of our depth on. We really enjoyed it all today. So going through from literally sitting on the bike, my first impression is that the shifting is incredibly light. Compared to the old group sets, it doesn't have that kind of draggy feeling in the cable. It's really, really light at the lever, and I think Shimano's done some pretty clever stuff on the internals to give it that lighter feel. The other thing you immediately notice is how well that Hyperglide Plus system works. The Hyperglide Plus system is a combination of funky forming on the cassette paired with some kind of interesting forming on the chain, which is said to improve the performance and smoothness of downshifts, again, moving down the cassette. Basically what this does is as you're shifting down a cog, the chain is held slightly by the previous cog. So that means there's no kind of awkward step as the chain falls into the lower cog. It's kind of passed down in quite a smooth way. This means that under power, you can actually put a lot of power down while shifting. It doesn't have that kind of awkward moment where it skips ahead, and you can feel it. On the other hand, I think, and it is probably a bit early to say this, but I think it makes the shifts a little bit more laggy, and Joe found this as well, where It's being held by the other cogs, so it makes sense that it'd be a bit slower. How much this matters in practice? Probably not very much. If you're buying an SLX group set, racing isn't probably your priority, but it is still worth noting that you can just slightly feel that there. On the whole, and I can't stress this enough, the shifting is very impressive, particularly given this is a mid-tier group set. After a draggy climb where we made plenty of excuses for why we were tired, we then hit the first descent of the day where we got to test out those new brakes. Now the SLX group set is available with two different calipers. A 4-pot caliper, which is designed for your trail and enduro riders, and a traditional 2-pot caliper for your XC riders. And this bike came with a 4-pot caliper. This obviously gives you a bit more power, and we put that to full test on the first of the steep trails of the day, where I have to say the braking is pretty good. One thing that's worth noting is that our bikes were fitted with the XT-level Ice Tech rotors, and the SLX group set itself doesn't have quite as flashy rotors. How much this actually matters today, given we were on more steep trails rather than draggy ones, I don't think it really makes much of a difference. But the overall power of the brakes is very good. I also think that feel was massively improved by the addition of that little supporting nubbin which sits behind the lever. This has been added, so it's essentially another bracing point next to the clamp itself to reduce flex in the body of the levers itself, and this was first seen on the XTR group set last year. This is a really small point, and it's a very clever one I have to say, and it's not going to improve modulation per se, but the actual feel of the levers is definitely improved. While they may lack the free-stroke adjustment, the levers have adopted Shimano's new iSpec EV standard. Yes, I'm afraid there is a new iSpec EV standard, but according to the guys at Shimano I've spoke to, this one might actually stick around for more than one generation. Anyway, this new standard allows you to have up to 14mm of side-to-side lateral adjustment with the shifters and quite a good degree of rotational adjustment for the shifters. This means that it's much easier to dial in your shifter and brake lever feel regardless of your hand size. One thing Joe and I both noticed is the group set is really quiet, and that's in all circumstances. The shifting's really quiet, the general performance under running is really quiet, though obviously it's a brand new group set. With the new bump stop which is built into the cage, which is essentially just a small rubber bit at the top of the cage, which dampens down rattling when you're in the smaller cogs in the cassette, definitely works well. I hadn't really thought about it before, but when you are in those very bottom cogs, your chain is very, very close to the upper half of the cage. So that little rubber stop is a really simple way of just making that thing a bit quieter. Following those descents, we then had an absolutely hideous climb where Joe and I, the powerful sprinters that we are, tried to put the group set under as much strain as possible to essentially make it skip, and no beans. It's good under power. When it's shifting up or down the cassette, it really doesn't hesitate at all, and again, for a mid-tier group set, that's seriously good performance, even under our middling power. As for the performance of the rest of the group set, let's say crank stiffness, I'm not going to pretend that I can assess that, let alone on an enduro bike, but it seemed fine to me. And those aluminium cranks look like they're probably going to stand up to the test of time. On that note, we've only had a short ride on the group set. We can only assess a certain amount, and first impressions are very good. The performance feels good in terms of shifting, braking is excellent, and overall the package feels very complete and very premium. But for an SLX group set, you're probably not that interested in that sort of thing. You're probably more interested in how it's going to last in the long run, and that's something I can't tell you about for now. That'll have to wait for a later day when we spend more time in the group set. The full review, I'm sure, to follow is sometime in the future on BikeRadar.com. Another thing that SLX-minded folks may be interested in is the price, and again, I don't have that for now. As soon as we have that, like I say, head to BikeRadar.com where you'll be able to get all of the information. And if I've missed anything here, the likelihood is you'll probably be able to find it out on the site as well. So on the whole, SLX 12 speed seems like a pretty solid performer. Time will tell how it lasts in the long run, but overall performance seems very good on the surface of things. If you want to hear more about XT, which is also launched today, check the link in the description where you'll be able to see me talking about that at length as well. However, none of this matters as I am one man and one man's opinion only. And what really matters is what you guys think. Are Shimano late to the 12-speed party, or do you think this is going to be just right? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Whoa! You're right, you're right.